Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. Today we're going to talk about an extremely vile comment that was posted on Twitter X by UFO debunker and Crook, Brian Dunning, with regards to filmmaker James Fox and Emily Trim, who recently passed away. She was one of the witnesses at the 1994 Zimbabwe UFO incident in Ruwa, Zimbabwe. And there was, the other day, a few days ago, I had seen a comment from James Fox. Of course, James Fox makes a lot of great documentary movies about the subject. I've talked about him in numerous times in different podcasts before. I believe that The Phenomenon, which was released in 2019, was probably the best one that I've seen in recent years. Probably overall, I think it's probably the best documentary there has been on this subject. And he's also made other ones. Moment of Contact was a really good one. There's a new one coming up soon, The Program, which we're all looking forward to. But the other day, it was actually James Fox, who I was reading some of his comments on Twitter, and he was the one who reported about Emily Trim passing away. She was only 38 years old. She was one of the witnesses for the Ariel School incident back in 1994. And I talked about it a little bit on the show a couple of shows ago. But anyway, this was the post and that he put out there. It says here, Emily Trim to my right is one of my favorite witnesses from one of my favorite Close Encounters of the Third Kind cases, Ariel School in Ruwa, Zimbabwe, 1994. This was a very special moment to witness as the children, now adults, got together 20 years after the encounter for a shoot as part of our documentary, The Phenomenon. Emily was an incredibly talented artist, brave, intelligent, kind, and compassionate. Emily helped change the course of history. I just found out she passed earlier today. May we all say a prayer for her and the family she left behind. Godspeed, Emily. That was a very nice post, I thought, from James Fox. And he had a nice picture here where you can see Emily standing right beside him. There's James Fox, and Emily's standing right here. And then there's five other students, it seems like, that were there at the time. And they were all featured in the documentary as well. And there was a comment that was made the following day after he posted this, and I just saw it today, and I was appalled. I could say that that's how I felt. I was totally appalled by it. It was from Brian Dunning, and he's a UFO debunker as well as a convicted felon, and we're going to get into that. Brian's been looking. Well, apparently, when he made this comment, he was looking for some attention. Well, I'm going to tell you here today, folks, he's going to get some attention today. He's going to get some attention. He asked for it. He's going to get it. Okay, he says, I wouldn't mind James Fox being an honest filmmaker and making money off BS storytelling films that he knows in quotes, in asterisk quotes, are BS, if he was honest about what he does, like most. But when he legit exploits people for his own gain, some with mental illness, that's over the line. Zero respect. That's a vile comment, and there was no place for this. There was no need for something like this. It's totally not true. James Fox is a good person. He's someone who would never exploit. He's not exploiting people out there. Have you ever seen this guy talking in his interviews? This guy's not some exploiter like Brian Dunning's trying to make him out to be. But additionally, he's saying that he exploited Emily Trim because she was mentally ill. That's basically what he's saying. And we'll get into all of that in a second here. Well, James Fox responded to him saying, Brian, if you want to pick a fight and criticize me, totally fine. Why don't you do it on a different thread? Because this one is about the death of a young and courageous woman. Where is your common decency, sir? And anyway, I responded to this just today saying, Brian Dunning having common decency? Ha! John Greenwald Jr., he responded on the November 27th, and he says, whoa, she passed away and you seriously felt this was the best response? Not cool, gross. I totally agree with John Greenwald here. Yes, gross. Absolutely, absolutely gross. And just so you know, this Brian Dunning, he's someone who he's been running for years. He's the host of this Skeptoid podcast, which tries to debunk a lot of things, including UFOs and alien encounters. This guy doesn't believe it. To me, it's just it's a grift, just like the other, like all these other people in the debunker world. It's a grift. They're exploiting people who are afraid of this phenomenon, people who don't want to believe in it, and search online for information, for echo chambers of people telling them there's nothing to worry about, there's nothing to see here. That's what I think about Brian Dunning. But even worse than that, Brian Dunning is a convicted felon. He is a convicted felon. He's a crook. He's a convicted crook, and he wants attention. He's going to get it today. Remember, in the previous show, I talked about how Lou Elizondo figuratively delivered a open-handed crack slap to Ariel, figuratively. I'm going to do an open-handed crack slap figuratively today to Brian Dunning, because he deserves it for this. He absolutely deserves it. And this is a totally bogus thing to say about James Fox, for one thing. There was another comment here I want to point out by somebody named Ross Clark. He says, James Fox would never exploit anyone. You have zero proof of this, and you are only embarrassing yourself. He is a man of honor and integrity. And yes, I agree with Ross Clark there on Twitter. Yes, I believe that James Fox has honor and integrity. He's always a gracious person. Every time you've seen him in interviews, he tries to, even when people, the debunkers, like when he was on CNN interviews with different people, debunkers sitting across from him, he tried to be as gracious and as honorable as he possibly could. This is not a person who exploits people. He's someone who's very interested in this phenomenon, wants to get to the bottom of it, loves interviewing people, loves putting movies out about this, making documentaries about it. This guy is a good person. And for Brian Dunning to say something like this, and on top of it, what's even worse, he's doing it on the heels of this tragic death of this young woman, Emily Trim. And we're going to get into that. I didn't have any details the other day when I found out that she passed away, but this is her obituary. It says, I'll leave the links for all these things so you can check them out for yourself. It's very sad. It says, Emily passed away peacefully in hospital on November 26, 2024. Her mother and father by her side. She was the beloved daughter of Majors Kester and Catherine Trim, and sister to Rachel Kershaw, Jeremy, and Paul Trim, Leanne. Emily was the proud aunt to one nephew, Jason, and 6 nieces, Faith, Michaela, Kayla, Madison, Gemma, and Brielle. She was blessed to have amazing aunts, great uncles, and terrific cousins. Born to Salvation Army officers, Emily lived a life of change and adaptation. When she was just 18 months, the Trims moved to Africa. This cross-cultural experience shaped Emily's character. She was curious, creative, inclusive, and welcoming to people of different backgrounds. Emily started school in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, then known as Zaire, and continued in Zimbabwe. It was at Ariel School in Ruwa, Zimbabwe, that Emily, along with many other students, experienced what they understood to be an extraterrestrial visitation. The event was featured on local, national, and then continental news. It has since formed the basis of a documentary entitled Ariel Phenomenon from 2022, in which Emily was featured. Yes, I want to stop there for a second. Yes, that was the Randall Nickerson documentary that was fantastic, and she was in that documentary, and it was she had a great piece in that. There was different segments where she was featured. It was a wonderful documentary. That documentary on its own, to me, constitutes proof, as I've stated in the past, of the non-human intelligence on this in this world. After high school, Emily entered the retail sector. Her winsome personality and excellent customer service quickly moved her into leadership. More than once, she was headhunted. In her early 20s, she became the manager of Roots Yorkdale Mall, Toronto, a flagship retail outlet for that company. She was selected as part of the team which flew to Vancouver to service Roots customers during the 2010 Winter Olympics. Sadly, mental illness ended Emily's career. She suffered profoundly during debilitating episodes of her diagnosed disorder. For more than a decade, Emily turned to art for distraction and as an outlet for her creativity. She painted, sketched, and photographed. Her love of of nature found expression in collections of stones, feathers, sticks, foliage, all of which she arranged and rearranged in her apartment. On Thanksgiving weekend 2023, Emily's life was changed forever with the startling discovery of metastasized or multiple brain tumors, melanoma stage 4. For 13 months, Emily fought the disease bravely and stoically. She accepted and underwent every treatment offered to her, but to no avail. Cancer won the battle. And there's more to the obituary. I'll leave the link for it so you can check it out for yourself. But it's a very, very sad situation. And then what I felt compelled to do this episode today because I am outraged at Brian Dunning, and this guy's an absolute fraud. He was convicted of wire fraud, by the way, so it's okay to say it. He's a fraud. He's a crook. He's a crook. And we're going to get into that right now. Brian wants attention. Brian Dunning wants attention. He's going to get some attention. Okay, and here's from Wikipedia. We'll start Wikipedia first. In August of 2000, this is first off, before we even get into this, right? I just want to say this. Now, there's all different forms of mental illness, right? And it comes in all various forms. Depression, right? All kinds of mental illness. When you live a long time, you come across this in your travels. There's people in your family. There's people you meet. You know there's people that have mental illness out here. So what Brian Dunning was trying to say here, what the takeaway here is supposed to be, is that James Fox took advantage of Emily Trim because he knew she was mentally ill, and he got her to say these things in this documentary, The Phenomenon. That's pretty much the takeaway that he's trying to give you here, which is absolute BS. This guy's making this up, right? It wasn't, for one thing, Emily Trim was a little girl when this incident happened, and she was talking about it back then. She suffered mental illness in the last decade plus of her life, apparently, according to this obituary. And then it was discovered that she had cancer, brain tumors. So, no, James Fox wasn't taking advantage of her. He wasn't exploiting anyone. And there was other people there, too. It wasn't just Emily Trim. There was 60 kids that witnessed this. Emily Trim just happened to be one of those kids, and she happened to be one of the people who was interviewed as an adult for documentaries like The Phenomenon, and then later on Ariel Phenomenon. So you have to wonder, why would Brian Dunning post something like this? I mean, why would he? Well, I don't know. Let's look at his past and try to figure it out. This is from Wikipedia, wire fraud case. And this is from his of course, Brian Dunning has a Wikipedia page because he's beloved among the debunker community. People like Brian Dunning, he's joined at the hip with people like Susan Gerbic, who's the founder of Guerrilla Skepticism of Wikipedia, right? They're joined at the hip. He's joined at the hip with people like Mick West. They're all part of the same team. Right, they're all part of the same team, and you see the horrible things that some of these team members do. Some of these horrible things that some of these team members say and put out there into the world. But anyway, let's go back and look at what he did here. In August 2008, eBay filed suit against Dunning, accusing him of defrauding eBay and eBay affiliates in a cookie stuffing scheme for his company, Kessler's Flying Circus. In June 2010, based on the same allegations and following an investigation by the FBI, a grand jury indicted Dunning on charges of wire fraud. On April 15, 2013, in San Jose, California, United States District Court, as part of a plea agreement, Dunning pleaded guilty to wire fraud. The eBay civil suit was dismissed in May 2014 after the parties came to an agreement, while Dunning was sentenced in August 2014 to 15 months in prison as a result of his company receiving between $200,000 and $400,000 in fraudulent commissions from eBay. In a statement on his website, Dunning explained the circumstances and initially accepted responsibility for his actions, although in a later account claimed to have been in the right and to have only pled guilty in order to protect his family and to avoid a longer jail term. Well, that's all fine and dandy, but you're a convicted fraud. That's the bottom line, Brian. You're a convicted fraud. You're not to be trusted with anything. I don't know. I'm trying to understand who the people giving you donations to Skeptoid podcast. What are they, nuts? Giving this guy any money? Why would anybody want to give any donations to something like this? Anyway, let's get a little bit more deeper into this. Here's an article from the FBI, actually, the San Francisco division, from April 2013, after Dunning pleaded guilty. It says here, Brian Andrew Dunning pleaded guilty in federal court in San Jose on April 15, 2013 to wire fraud, United States Attorney Melinda Haig announced. In pleading guilty, Dunning admitted that between approximately May 2006 and June 2007, he engaged in a scheme to defraud eBay through so-called cookie stuffing. According to the plea agreement, commissions paid to Dunning's company, Kessler's Flying Circus, or KFC, which Dunning owned jointly with his brother, totaled approximately $5.2 million during that period from eBay's domestic affiliate program. Now, I just want to say he ended up, apparently, the scheme netted between $200,000 and $400,000. They're not even sure. But this is what they did. I want to get into what he did here, the trickery, the schemery that you see here. Let's look at it. It says, according to the plea agreement, in approximately April 2005, Dunning and his brother formed KFC, through which they participated in the eBay affiliate program. The affiliate program was a means by which eBay worked with KFC and other affiliates to drive internet traffic to eBay's websites. Under the program, an affiliate was supposed to send visitors to eBay's website by displaying an eBay advertisement or link on the affiliate's website. If a visitor clicked on the eBay link or ad, he or she was redirected to eBay's website. If that user subsequently conducted a revenue action on eBay's website within a designated period of time, eBay paid the affiliate a commission for the referral. Dunning admitted that he carried out his scheme by providing free applications of two of his websites that users could download and use on their own websites, profilemaps.info, which showed the physical location of visitors to a MySpace profile, and wholinked.com, which showed who was linking to the user's website or blog. Both applications contained code Dunning had written that operated so that when a user visited a website that had installed the application, the code would cause the user's browser to receive a cookie with KFC's ID number, even though the user did not click on an eBay ad or link, did not see any content from eBay's website, and did not realize that his or her browser had been redirected to eBay's tracking server. As a result, KFC would be paid if that user subsequently conducted an eBay revenue action within a certain period of time. So basically, that's what he did. He set it up that way. Set it up so that when he was the one who installed the code into these links, so all the money would get directed back to him, for nothing, basically, just sitting back doing nothing. $200,000 to $400,000. Anyway, and then he had an apology at one point, and I'll leave a link for this there too, so you can check this craziness out. And I just want to read a little section of this apology because I think it's absurd. He says, there are a lot of untruths being circulated by bloggers and reporters that I stole millions of dollars. Completely false. The vast majority of KFC's earnings, over 90%, were never in dispute. My share of the unearned commissions was about a third of the $200,000 to $400,000 on which I paid taxes. That doesn't make it any less of a crime, but absurd exaggerations serve nobody. It's not, $200,000 to $400,000, you got a third of that? That's a lot of dough, man. You're looking at maybe potentially 135,000 something, maybe? Is that what you're talking about? That's not pocket change. That's a lot of money that was crooked away from somebody. Okay, and then the second one here, that any individuals were affected, completely false. The only victim was eBay, and the nature of their loss was a reduced profit due to paying an unearned sales commission on new paying customers who had viewed one of our ads. Well, yeah, that might all be, okay, eBay was there was a victim, it was eBay, but how does it, $200,000 to $400,000, that's a lot of money, right? That might have an effect on what sellers earn from eBay when they make a sale. Maybe eBay has to adjust their profit margin at some point because of what he did. We don't know that. I don't know that. Could have been. Let's see what else he said here. He says, a conspiracy theory that my nonprofit, Skeptoid Media Incorporated, I don't know how the hell that's nonprofit. I really don't know. A conspiracy theory that my nonprofit, Skeptoid Media Incorporated, was set up as some kind of shield to hide stolen millions. First, I never had millions in my possession. Second, you cannot shield money from the feds. The federal government can seize anything at any time. There is no protection like there is in state cases. Skeptoid Media exists only for its stated reasons, producing free educational materials and STEM-focused informational and entertainment content made available to educators and individuals worldwide, concentrated on critical thinking and scientific skepticism. Well, let me tell you something, Brian. Your whole concept of the alien situation is completely bogus and wrong, because there is something here, and we have the absolute proof to show it. We have the absolute proof now. And so everything that you've been telling people is totally phony and false. Just like that crooked scheme that you ran, that we're talking about here, that crooked scheme, crook that only a crook would do. That I'm a millionaire, this is the last thing he said, that I'm a millionaire who has the gall to beg for donations. Please do not conflate the two. Donations that support the Skeptoid podcast go only to support Skeptoid Media, a good cause. Is it? I don't know. I mean, it's telling people, filling people's heads up with stuff that you claim is educational, but really is just fiction. Is that helpful? How's that helpful? Why is this guy a non-profit? I'd like to know that. It doesn't really matter, right? In the end, what matters here is the fact that Brian Dunning he's a convicted felon. He's guilty of wire fraud, and he's making these absurd and rotten and vile statements on X about James Fox out of nowhere. For something like this, someone dies, and this is what you get from a debunker. This is ugly. It's an ugly thing to say. It's an ugly thing to state. And you look at this guy's ugly past, and then it all makes sense. It all makes sense. All right. Well, the sad thing here is that Emily Trim has passed away, and James Fox was just pointing that out, and it was a sad thing. Just because she suffered with mental illness in her final years over the last decade of her life doesn't mean that she was making the story up. No, she had a whole bunch of other witnesses standing there right by her side in the picture with James Fox. So to make a statement like that it's unbelievable to me. It's so vile. I felt compelled to have to talk about it. I needed to get this out of my system. Okay, moving on. I want to get caught up on some of the recent Spotify polls. Okay, for the episode Dolan, the Pentagon likely will never voluntarily reveal the truth about UFOs and ETs. I asked this question. Now, I did... last time I looked at this, there was only 17 votes. Now it's up to 36 votes. Will the Pentagon ever voluntarily disclose the truth about the UFO and extraterrestrial NHI phenomenon? 36 votes so far. 0 people say yes, while 36 or 100% say no. Yeah, I totally agree with the no's. Like I've stated the last time we talked about this poll here. Yeah, it looks like no one's going to give it a yes. I thought there'd be a joker by this point, but no, not yet. That's interesting. Okay, for the episode, The Dawning of the Age of Catastrophic UFO Disclosure, I asked this question. Does it make a difference to you how disclosure of the extraterrestrial reality is achieved? 37 votes so far. 10 people or 27% say yes, while 27 people or 73% say no. Yeah, it doesn't make a difference to me either whatsoever. I mean, disclosure is happening right now, whether people out there understand that or not. It's really happening. The evidence is out there floating around, just floating around. It's out there in the public domain. There's nothing anyone can do to stop it. It can't be. Nothing's going to halt it. It's going to continue to grow. And the more and more people that see it and absorb all of that, they're going to know that we're not alone. They're going to understand then that the government is lying blatantly, continuously lying about this. Governments across the world continuously lying about this reality. Continuously, they're still doing it. Just every week, just about, it seems. They will not answer any questions about it. And so it doesn't make, to me, I don't believe, like I stated it in that podcast, I don't believe in catastrophic UFO disclosure, right? Once the certain line is crossed, it's going to mean disclosure. We're already past that line right now, whether people understand it or not. It's just a matter of time for it to sink in into the whole. When that happens, people are going to realize it's already too late. We're already going down that path. It's done. And it's not going to be a catastrophe. Whatever it is, it's going to be the same no matter how it's delivered. And that's where I'm at. Doesn't make me right, but that's just my opinion. Okay, let's skip back. What's the next one? For the episode, UFOs are appearing in sensitive airspace everywhere. What is happening? I asked this question. Who is responsible for the drones, quote, drones, end quote, seen over 3 military installations in the United Kingdom? Just so you know, there's actually more cases right now ongoing over in the UK. 2 other installations have now restricted airspace because of this concern. So it's still ongoing, and of course, I talked about in the previous show. There's UFOs seen over Washington. They're all over the place, folks. They're everywhere. They're being seen everywhere. Which ones are just drones? Which ones are enemy drones? Which ones are extraterrestrial / NHI? We don't know. Take your pick. It doesn't matter. But the reality is that there is something here, and in some of these cases, right, I can assure you, in some of these cases, right, we're dealing with some sort of extraterrestrial or non-human intelligence creations. That's what we're dealing with. objects. That's what we're dealing with in some of these cases. Anyway, the question was, who was responsible for the drones seen over 3 military installations in the UK? 33 votes so far. 2 people, or 6.1%, says the United States / United Kingdom. Basically, that they're doing tests of top secret stuff that they're not telling anybody about, and they can't say anything. I don't think that's the case. That wouldn't make any sense to me. But some people think that could be what's happening. 4 people, or 12.1%, say drone hobbyists. Okay, is it possible that all these incursions are just drone hobbyists, just sending up drones over military installations, just boldly, brazenly doing things like this and somehow getting away with it? I guess it's possible. I don't know. I don't think so, though. I think that there was some Chinese student that was caught, but I don't know. No, I don't know about all the time. Maybe. But no, I'm not going to go with that one. I think in some cases it could be, but in other cases, no. Okay, 10 people, or 30.3%, say it's Russia or China, that they're responsible for it. Okay, maybe. In some of the cases, yeah, I'm sure. And I'm sure some of the stuff that appears over their countries is probably from us, from NATO. Who knows? And then finally, though, the majority, 17 people, or 51.5%, say extraterrestrial / NHI, that they're responsible for this. Yeah, could be. Yeah, I totally agree. I'm leaning that way. That's the way I'm leaning. I think it's probably more of that than anything else. But hey, I could be wrong. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I know that in some cases in the past it was definitely that. I mean, I know that in like 1967 at Malmstrom Air Force Base that couldn't have been man-made, whatever that object was. I mean, it was a big giant flying saucer that showed up over Malmstrom Air Force Base, and the next thing you know, all the nuclear missiles were deactivated. So I don't think that was China or Russia or anybody else from this world. I think that was non-human intelligence responsible. Okay, moving on. For the episode, Meet the Alien Belligerents Challenging the UFO Secrecy Cabal, I asked this question: which of the below choices is your favorite case? Okay, 4 people, or 18.2%, say the Cumbergus Turkey UFO. Of course, that was a very, very interesting case. These are the 3 cases I talked about during that episode, and Cumbergus Turkey comes in last place. Ariel School UFO, 7 people, or 31.8%. Of course, the Ariel School incident. How could it be denied, right? How could any of these cases be denied that we're talking about here? But for 7 people, that's their favorite case. And then the majority, 11 people, or 50%, say the Las Vegas aliens. I have to go with I agree with the majority here. That's my favorite case because it provided the absolute proof that we were waiting for forever. Now we have it, and we could flash it in people's faces, and they can't debunk it no matter what they do, no matter what they say. There's nothing they can do about it. It's too late. It's over now. It's in the public domain, and everyone sees it. Okay, moving on now for the most recent episode. There's not a lot of votes for this one yet. UFOs appear. This was for the episode. UFOs appear over Washington / Elizondo slams arrow / the right side of UFO history. I asked this question: are you pleased that the debunker cult is in the process of getting vanquished to the dustbin of history? 18 votes so far. 2 people, or 11.1%, say no. I don't know why. I can't wait till it's vanquished completely to the dustbin of history so we can look back at it and can just have a good laugh. Remember the debunkers? Oh, yeah, those clowns. Oh, boy, I'm glad they're not around any longer talking their nonsense. The majority, 16 people, or 88.9%, say yes, they are pleased that the debunker cult is in the process of getting vanquished to the dustbin of history. Yes, I mean, I think that process is going to speed up a little bit more now when you see people like Brian Dunning making vile comments on X about Emily Trim and James Fox like he has. That was absolutely horrific, totally rotten, and just I can't. I'll tell you what, I don't use a lot of. I try to stay away from bad language on my show. Sometimes I wish I could use a lot of bad language, though, because today would be a day that I would have loved to have used some profanity. I really would have. I might have to come up with another kind of a show where I just, I'll let everyone know. It'll be the not safe for work show. Like maybe I'll do one once a week, where I just let it really loose. Like the way I've been handling this, I keep, like I try to do a show where within my mind where there's a possibility, I put it in my possibility. Like maybe my mom would watch this show, and I don't want to have her hear me cursing like this, right? Talking like this. I think about that. And besides that, I know people listen to this in their cars and on Spotify while they're driving. If they have their kids in the car, then they don't want somebody in there, throwing out curse words all the time. But I'll tell you what, there are some times where I feel like throwing out lots of bad language, and today's episode was one of the ones that I thought about doing it, but of course I held back. I am not. This is something that makes me very unhappy to see something like this, and I we just can't stand by and just let this happen. Now, of course, James Fox, slap back at him. But yeah, this is unbelievable. This is vile. This is a vile comment. He should take that comment down. He should apologize for it or something. But you know what? He won't. He probably won't. I don't see it. What do you expect? Again, the guy's a crook, proven in court, admitted it, convicted felon. What are you going to do? How can you trust him? I don't know how anybody trusts this guy with anything. I really don't. And just think, this guy again. He's in bed with all these other debunkers. Love him. When you look at a lot of the UFO stories on Wikipedia, a lot of times those guerrilla skepticism of Wikipedia, that group, right? They always use a lot of his comments. Like, what does his opinion mean? What does Brian Dunning's opinion matter in some of these famous UFO cases? He wasn't there. Well, who the hell is he? What kind of authority is Brian Dunning when it comes to this? The only thing he's an authority in is in crookery. That's it. He's an authority in being a crook, as far as I'm concerned. Why is this guy a noted UFO debunker and whose comments are showing up in Wikipedia all the time? His only authority is wire fraud. That's the only thing I can see. When I think of Brian Dunning, the first thing that comes to my mind is wire fraud, crook. That's about it. Anyway, I hope you're happy, Brian. I hope you're happy. You got some attention. Anyway, I just want to say this. I want to say thank you all for joining me today. Until next time.